Hi guys, we're back. All right, so we had a bit of a problem today. About 12 hours ago, Harry and I did two separate podcasts at the same, one after the other. And at part one, which was my presentation, my laptop said, "Oh, can't find it." So I've uploaded part two, which was Harry's presentation. And now we're going to do what would have been part one. We're going to redo it again. Harry's just got up and I'm just about to go to bed, so it ain't going to be a long one. So how are you, bro? Do you have a good sleep or what?
Yeah, I'm all refreshed right now. Good. So we can do part one after we already did part two.
Oh, no, it's so embarrassing. But what I want to do first is a little bit of housekeeping, because one of our wonderful subs, Natalie, she, just after I uploaded it, she made a comment saying, "Oh, I hope I'm not too late." Can you see the screen, Harry?
Yes, I can.
All right, I'm just waiting for this to load up. Oh, where's she gone? Oh, that's interesting. Her comment seems to have disappeared. Let me refresh the screen and see what happens. Very, very strange. Natalie, your comment has disappeared.
Hi guys.
Oh, hang on.
Which is a presentation today.
Natalie's comment has disappeared. It was there a minute ago.
There's one. Natalie.
Oh no, it's here. It's here. Look, I'm a bit late to this, so I hope I can still give my input. I'm a new sub by Jen's live stream with you and Joachim last week. First up, I was named Natalie. My father thought that she was beautiful, and so was I, of course.
Yeah.
She talks about tree and wood. I read most of the comments, so I don't really want to repeat anything. In French, the word faux means leaves and trees of pages in a book. We touched on roots, Harry, but what she's also saying here is that, like companies, they have roots and branches. Its roots are in New York, and they have branches in London, Paris, and Moscow.
Mm-hmm. Even banks have branches too, right?
Say again?
A bank has a branch.
Yeah, banks have branches, of course. Yeah. And then she made the comment that a trunk is also a box or case to store things in, which is
yeah, that's true.
Which is good. And then some dude, Harry Christie, Tree of Life and the letter Phi. Now, this was a good comment from Linda. Pinocchio is made of wood. And having the wood is the phrase that's used in, well, you can read the word there. James Brockhurst talks about Jacob's ladder, knock on wood, Hollywood, Ed Wood, Woodwood. Well, somebody's put it there, look, Ed Wood, Woodstock, Norwegian Wood, the Beatles song. So, yeah. So there's a few, where have you gone, bro? Oh, so there's a few great comments there. But Natalie, I didn't want to leave you out, girl, especially with you coming over from Jen's channel. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to just open my PPT, and we will get into it, because this is pretty good. Now, the interesting thing is, guys, that when we did this presentation this morning, when we recorded this morning, Harry actually hadn't seen the presentation. What we usually do is we email whatever we're going to do, whatever we're going to present to you guys, we email to each other, so we both know what's going on. But I deliberately didn't email this one to Harry because I wanted to get his reaction. But of course, that ain't going to work this time, bro, is it? Because you've seen it this morning.
I could either pretend I haven't seen it or be honest.
No.
But here, the bottom line is, we saw some similarities between both of our presentations, and you and I had not seen each other's presentation. So it was kind of, my reaction was, I'll just let you know, it was that of quite surprised that, we had so many similarities on our two presentations. We hadn't even seen each other's work.
I know, amazing. All right, so what we're talking about is the white horse of the apocalypse. Now, most people are probably looking at that thinking, why have you put a W there? Well, I'm going to show you in a minute. I threw this in at the beginning because we all know it's true. I was doing a search for some pictures yesterday, and I came across this, and I thought, wow, that is so cool. So I just thought I'd throw that in. And I've got an awesome one at the end, Harry, that I've added since this morning.
Oh, so you're going to get another reaction.
Yeah. Okay, so the four horsemen of the apocalypse. This is from Revelation 6:2. I looked, and behold, a white horse. He who sat on it had a bow and a crown. And a crown was given to him. And he went out conquering and to conquer. Well, doesn't say anything about arrows, right? Just a bow. And this was probably the best depiction that I could find. The guy on the left, obviously on a white horse, with a bow, no arrows, and a crown. So if the bow doesn't have any arrows, what could the bow possibly symbolize? Well, I'll show you in a sec. This, again, forget the Refreshing Hope Ministries, I'm not into all that. It was just the only picture I could find. Don't forget where I am, and I was doing this at work where I've got no, let's just say my internet access is somewhat restricted. So pestilence. I was listening to Daniel Alexander Cannon on Logic Before Authority, and he was making the connection with the item on the left being shaped, bow-shaped. I mean, when it goes around your face. And I thought, sadly, I think Daniel's pretty much on the Jesus juice, and so he was looking at it from perhaps a different perspective to the way that that we would look at it. And I couldn't actually find a bow, the one on the right, without an arrow. But I'm talking about the shape of the one on the left and the shape of the one on the right. Now, we know what this word means, what it really means. But I went to etymology. Of course, that reflects the crown. So we've got the crown and the bow. All right, come back to that in a minute. So I looked into etymology online. Pestilence, any infectious or contagious disease, fatal epidemic, from Old French, pestilence, plague, epidemic, and direct from Latin, pestilentia, a plague, an unwholesome atmosphere, a noun of condition. Infected, unwholesome, noxious, deadly disease, plague, and in Middle English, wickedness, evil, sin, a vice, that which is morally pestilential. But pay attention to the first few words there: wickedness, evil, sin, and think about what's happening today. So we know that this picture relates to this. And there again, just for a second look, on the left, we have the bow and the crown. Now you want to know why I put a W in front of horse. If we take the word horse and place a W in front of it, how would you speak it? You wouldn't pronounce it any differently, would you? It would still be horse. But if we switch the S and the E, what do we get? Let's have a look. Again, this is from Etymology Online. The word itself is a Germanic euphemism for a word that has not survived. That's interesting. The Old English vowel naturally would have yielded HOOR, which is the pronunciation in some dialects. It may have shifted by influence. In Middle English, the homonym, H-O-R-E, means physical filth, slime, moral corruption, and sin. Sin. Remember? Evil, sin. From the Old English, whore, H-O-R-H. The WH form became current 16th century, a general term of abuse for an unchaste or lewd woman without regard to money. Found that quite interesting. From at least the 1200s. Of male prostitutes from the 1630s. The whore of Babylon is from Revelation, and in Middle English, with occasional plural forms, horen or hiarana. And a little bit more, the word with its derivatives is now avoided polite speech in survival in literature. So as it survives, it's due to the fact that it's a favorite word with Shakespeare. And we know that Shakespeare wasn't real, but, you know, who used it with its derivatives 99 times and is common in the authorized English version of the Bible, though the American revisers recommended the substitution of harlot because it's less gross. Okay.
It's funny, through researching your sources, how much false information we've already gone through.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But you know, I'm trying to make the connection between the biblical white horse and what's actually happening now. So yeah, all that 12th century, 13th century bollocks. Yeah.
And they're saying that, you know, without regards to money, and they always point that towards the woman, the male-run society, the patriarchal society, always makes it so that the woman is so bad that she.
Yeah, without regard to money. I mean, what a joke.
Yeah, not even money. It's not motivated by money. It's just nature. So wrong.
Well, it's funny. I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday who also lives in China. He's from the UK, and he was saying how where he is in the south part of China, a very, very big city, that a local judge basically stated that this, what we're talking about here, prostitution, is not illegal. Yeah. Well, why is it illegal in every country? It's because if a woman and a man make an agreement, which is a contract, to buy and sell, it's no one else's business. But the problem is the government can't tax her, so they made it illegal. It's the same with what we call recreational drugs. If it's not Big Pharma, the only other drugs really would be tobacco, alcohol, which is, of course, manufactured and therefore is taxable. If you're growing a couple of weed plants at home and you're selling some to your mate, well, the government can't tax you, so that's why they made it all illegal.
Oh, yeah. And when alcohol was illegal in the United States in the 20s and 30s, it wasn't because of drinking. It was because the government was wanting to tax on alcohol because people were putting it in their cars and they were running their vehicles with this alcohol. And so they were losing all the revenue that they couldn't generate through the taxation of.
Yeah, it was the same in Ireland. They called it moonshine. I don't know what they called it.
Same here. Moonshine.
Okay. So, sorry, mate, go on.
People were making it at night, so they called it moonshine.
All right, okay. So, in short, a woman is selling her body in return for money. Well, what's your job? What's my job? Do you sell yourself or your skills in return for money? What's this guy doing? Think about it. You know, on the very basic level, guys, you know, I'm not trying to be a smart ass here. I'm trying to put things into perspective. This guy is selling his services for money, which is exactly what this type of quote unquote lady would be doing. And we shouldn't judge these people. This guy's pretty much doing the same job. So at the very foundation, if we have a job, we are essentially a horse with a W. Back to the white horse. The white horse. These guys wear white, all of them. Is this guy getting paid? Of course he's getting paid. This is your pestilence, guys. This is the white horse with the bow and the crown. I found this, and this absolutely blew my mind. I'm not going to read all of it. I'll leave the link in the show notes, so anybody wants to go and check this out. This is from PubMed. Let me tell you very, very quickly. We all know about the orphan trains. I've gone into it a little bit, but not too deep. But one thing that's puzzled me is, why were they orphans? Why were there so many so-called asylums around at that time? What happened to the parents? Did they die? Did they go mad? Or did they have the
jab?
Right, and right now I'm working on the assumption that they had the... But look, get this. 4 major influenza epidemics were recorded between 1830 and 1848. The 1830-1831 epidemic may have originated in China. Ring any bells?
That's a coincidence.
It's from the Pandemic and Epidemic Influenza, 1830 to 1848, from the National Library of Medicine. The 1830 to 1831 epidemic may have originated in China. That just happens to be exactly 190 years ago. Now, you guys are all smart enough to know that 0 means nothing in gematria, so 190 is essentially 19. The CV19, the first case was in December 2019, but it was basically 2020 when the whole thing was called, when it was called out and we had the lockdowns and everything else. And now we're into 2021 and it ain't going away. It's not going anywhere. It's 190 years. I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. These guys that run this, the God of this world has got no creative ability whatsoever. We say history repeats itself. What can I say? It's right there.
Yeah. And
of course sorry, Harry.
190 years, like we said, is 10 metonic cycles.
1 plus 9 is 10, yeah. Well, 1 plus 9 is 10, and you've got the 10 times 19 cycles of the sun and the moon returning to the same place in the sky every 19 years, and which then gets us to the 532 connection, which I'm still working on, and we will do a presentation on that, which is 28 cycles of 19 years.
Yeah.
532 years since 1492, which is so important, brings us to 2024. And 2024 is something that we should really, really be looking at. So we're both working on that, and we'll bring you the presentation when we've done it. But this is clearly biblical, or a kind of biblical reference. Somebody sent me this today, and I just fell off my chair. I thought, I've got to put this at the end of the presentation. I mean, absolutely brilliant. I don't know who created it. I don't know who made it. I don't really care, but it speaks absolute volumes. So that's the link. I'll put it there, so I'll copy and paste it into the show notes below. That's for the PubMed, for those of you that want to fact check and check this out. But yeah, I just found it absolutely incredible that it's exactly 190 years ago. 19, yeah.
And like you said, the reason they do things over and over again, because they love to work in cycles. And that 19-year cycle, it's so convenient for them, because like I said, they have no creativity whatsoever. Yeah.
Well, the 19 plays so much into this. I mean, you've only got to look at, if you subtract 2001 from 2020, what do you get? Yeah. If you go back another 19 years from 2001, you're going to go to what? 1982. There's got to be something that happened happened in 1982.
Well, you know what happened in 1963?
Well, there you go. You go back another 19 years and you're at 1963. And for those that are too young to remember, you see, the problem is, guys, Harry and I, we're actually old enough to remember when the word gay meant happy. But yeah, for those of you that haven't made the connection, 1963 was JFK on November 22, 11/22. Yeah, and if you go back 19 years before that, you're going to be in 1944. And that was a very significant year as well. That was when, that was the last time that Mount Vesuvius erupted. And according to Jen's research, Mount Vesuvius isn't even a volcano. I wish I knew that. I went to Pompeii when I was like 14 we went on a school trip.
Yeah, so did I.
And I saw all that stuff. But of course, 14 years old, you're going to believe everything that the teacher tells you. Hey, before we wrap up, I was watching a little bit of He Who Should Not Be Mentioned today. His first name is Max, and his second name rhymes with vegan. And he put up a video on Big Shoot. And part of his presentation was showing that kids, I can't remember if it was in Australia or the UK, I've got a feeling it was in the UK, but kids have got to wear a mask in class, but they've been told that if they behave and if they're a good student, they can get mask-free minutes.
What are we, pets?
Yeah.
What are we, dogs?
Yeah. Can you believe this? But the problem is, so many kids have got parents who rely on their job. They can't take the kids out of school. But these kids shouldn't be going to school. Certainly not in my opinion.
No.
And any teacher worth their salt that turns around and says, okay, look, if you do your homework, then you can take your mask off for the first half hour of class or whatever. But you can actually earn mask-free time.
No.
I'm like, all of our subs know or should know by now what I do. I teach English in a high school. There are over 5,000 kids in our high school. There's no masks. There's no social distancing. Nothing.
Yeah, over here, they want the same thing. If you're going to have a public school, the students that are present in the class have to wear masks. And so I don't send my kids there. They just do it remotely. Yeah.
Good. It's child abuse. It's child abuse. I work in what you would call a high school. They don't have high schools in China. What they have is it's so funny. They have small school. If you actually translate the Chinese into English, they have small school, they have middle school, and they have big school. But big school is university.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So the kids in my school are pretty much, I guess the youngest would be about 13 up to like 17, 18 years old. The students I teach are 15, 16-year-olds. And they will do another year till they're 17, and then when they're 18, they can go to university.
So over here, we have school through high school, right? Until you're 17, 18, but they might as well include 4 years of college in that same indoctrination system. But the only difference here is that those 4 years, you pay a big price for it. So that then they can actually enslave you in debt.
Yeah. Well, pretty much here, everybody either goes or wants to go to university. I grew up in the UK, and I can tell you the same for Australia. As soon as you're 16, you're old enough to leave school, you go and get a job. Very, very few kids, when I was at school, wanted to go to university, you could stay. You have the ability to stay on for another 2 years after 16 and do your A levels, and then if you wanted to go to university at 18, you could. But at 16, you know, everybody in my class, including me, we're out of it. You know, we want to go and earn some money. So
yeah.
All right, guys. Look, we'll finish it there. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, sorry for the mess up. I'll get this uploaded ASAP. Time's getting on a bit here, so I'll try and do it tonight. But if not, I'll do it first thing in the morning when I get up. So again, thanks for sticking around, and we'll catch you on the next one. All right, guys. You want to say bye, Harry?
Yeah. You guys have a good day today. Okay.
Okay. Cheers.